Hello, and welcome to your favorite program, info.com. My name is Biyi Fashoyin. This week, my guest will be Toba Obaniyi, CEO, WhoGoHost.com. So join me after this time out on info.com because when we come back, it will be time for business. Good evening. Welcome back to the studios of Lagos Television. This is info.com and my name is Biyi. And I have with me the CEO of WhoGoHost.com. Toba, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, sir.
Relax, so you're at home, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so Toba, WhoGoHost, how did it start?
Well, the story of WhoGoHost is quite simple, nothing fantastic. WhoGoHost actually started when Okwayemi Aoyemi, one of the co-founders of Jobberman, at some point while he was in school in Ife, he was designing websites for clients, and he realized that, since he needs to get hosting and domain for these different clients, why not just, have the service and sell to them? So that's how WhoGoHost really started. It really started as a backbone to actually sell to clients, then eventually started selling to other people. So it was just something on the side. But like very few years later, Okwe and I met, and then I saw some future in WhoGoHost, and I decided that let's WhoGoHost stand on its own, because I thought that WhoGoHost could actually do much more than it was doing, and so that's how WhoGoHost came by. And by the way, the name WhoGoHost, people ask,
I was going to come to that.
why WhoGoHost? Nothing released, but there was a WhoGo buy, right?
Just like we have WhoGo Watch. Viewers at home. Okay, so there was a WhoGo Buy, there's a WhoGo Pay.
WhoGoBuy.com, though it doesn't exist anymore, but there was a WhoGoBuy.com, and Okwe just thought, why not WhoGoHost? And that was it. That was just it. So.
Wow. Okay, so it was like to provide another service, that to back up for the first service, which was to develop websites. So tell me, how's the journey been? When did you start WhoGoHost, and how's the journey been so far?
And well, I'll say that officially we started 5 years ago as WhoGoHost Limited, and the journey has been slow, but has been picking up very fast recently. And what happened, as I mentioned, was the fact that there was a realization that even though we have people who host internationally, there's still a gap that exists, because hosting is usually more than just the service itself. It also includes the fact that some people have issues with the service. For instance, some people get hosting account and they don't even know how to do whatever with it, and there's usually a language barrier. Even though we speak English, we all speak English, but there's a cultural barrier that comes with that language, and so it becomes difficult for some people to be able to communicate with some of these international providers, and that is where we started filling up that space. And of course, we realize the fact that Nigerians have unique ways of communicating. Nigerians have unique issues, and sometimes these national providers don't understand these issues. They don't know how to help them out with it, and so that is where we fit that need. And of course, we also realize that obviously the fact that people have to pay in dollars and other currencies is an issue. Things have gotten easier right now. In the past, it was actually quite difficult to pay for these services. I remember then we actually had to have a DOM account, we had to have a dollar card to even pay for some services. So it was very difficult then to pay for services. But even now, even though people have that option to pay with their debit cards,
The debit card, yeah.
there's still the situation of the exchange rates fluctuating and different things like that. So people would love to pay in their local currency, and of course with CBN introducing some limits to cards, of course it will always be much better to transact using a local currency. And of course the fact that people can also do bank transfers, we have different options available to Nigerians that are local to Nigerians, and so we realized that people really needed those services. So even though there are the international providers that offer something similar, but there's nothing like local presence, and that's what we're feeling.
That's what you're feeling, that niche. Yes. Okay, let me take you away from WhoGoHost for now. Not completely from WhoGoHost. Maybe away from your website creation and hosting.
Okay.
Let's go to this issue of domain name registration. You're a registrar, aren't you?
Yes, we are actually near accredited registrars.
Absolutely. So why, tell us, we've had that question here. What is the problem? Why are companies not looking that way? Why are they not doing .ng? This is the identity of of a company in Nigeria. So why is this so slow? Is it that you guys are charging so much or what?
No, I disagree with fact of cost. Well, though there are different classes of .ng domains, so some are more pricey than others. But for instance, like in our, due to the high exchange rates, on our site you can get a .com for 2,400.
2,400 naira.
Yes.
.com.
Yes.
.com.
Yes, please.
Not .ng.
But .com.ng is at 1,500.
Are you serious?
I'm
That's
serious.
cheaper than a
Exactly.
.com. So, hello, why are we not doing .com.ng?
You know, though the interestingly, we've actually seen
An upsurge.
Yeah, it is a surge. People are actually beginning to consider the .com.ng option. The reason why people think it's more expensive is because you have the .ng at the second level. So, for instance, I can say info.ng. There's info.com.ng.
Yeah.
Now there are two different domain extensions. We have what we call the .ng. That's info.ng. Is what we call the second level, and the .com.ng is called the third level. Now a lot of people would love to register at that second level, that's info.ng, but now that is, for instance, is available at 13,500. That's why people think that .ng is more expensive, but sometimes they don't realize that they have different options. The pricing model, of course, controlled by the registry, that's NIRA, is based on a lot of conversations and a lot of
negotiations.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not really that simple. I mean, people would have looked, why can't it be the same price as .com.ng? But there are lots into it, and hopefully that will happen. But for now, the .ng is more of a premium service. So that means it's not necessarily available for everybody.
Everybody, but those who can afford to pay.
Exactly. But there was a time that it was actually available for millions of naira.
So
about 2 years ago, that's when it just became 15,000. So I think that's progress.
Yeah. That's a lot of progress.
Yes,
for
exactly.
15,000 naira. That's I mean, it allows you to stay within the nomenclature of Nigeria if there's a search elsewhere for businesses from abroad, right?
Yes, definitely.
Now let's go to WhoGoHost. You decide to stay on your own, right, to create the services. What has been the atmosphere like, in terms of business? Are companies coming to you? We hear from the grapevine that you're controlling a lot, within the space, that you actually have a very sizable amount of the market share in Nigeria. Is that true?
Yes, that's true, according to a third party, because really, aside third parties like that, what they basically do is that they check the number of domains.
Yes, we went through that.
Okay, cool.
Trust me.
So basically, according to that, we have like 34% of the market share
in Nigeria today. 34%.
Yes, please.
Wow, just a 5-year-old company?
Yes, and the market is still open in the sense that we still have a lot of businesses and individuals that don't even have websites and don't have domains. So, I mean, the potentials are still huge. We are just started. But one thing we've realized is the fact that as I mentioned, we realized that there was an opportunity, that even though there are international providers offering similar services that we offer, we realized that there was still a need that some people could not get. And we have situations where people even move from international providers to us. Yes, exactly. Because what we've tried to do is that we've tried to match those international providers in terms of the quality of service. And so while trying to do that, people now ask, so why are they using those international providers? And sometimes we have different options that are even sometimes cheaper than what the international providers offer, so it gives people more flexibility, and that has really been our focus. But of course, it was challenging at the very beginning because of lack of trust. There's generally this trust issue with Nigerian businesses, especially when they're international providers or international alternatives.
The issues of fraud and maybe this issue of even having to pay in dollars. Sometimes they provide the services and then people just check out on them, close their websites.
Yes.
So, but now we're overcoming that issue of trust now.
Yes, we are gradually, because I think one of the greatest things that's worked for us has been word of mouth. So that means that because we offered great service, some people, those people told others about our services. And of course, that is more powerful than every advertisement campaign that you can do. So once we started, offering good services, people started recommending our services. And, people started even defending us in some situations where, because what happens now is because of lack of trust, once there's any scent of an issue,
they blow it overboard.
You hear stuff like, Nigerian providers have started again. And in a number of those cases, when we traced it down, we found that there was actually no issue in the first place. Just that the client was too impatient to find out what
colonial mentality.
And it's really sad, but it's good to see that we are gradually embracing the fact that good things can come from Nigeria.
Okay, now I'm going to tell the whole world, I mean, from wherever you're watching us across the world, that they are going to build the info.com website. And so if their services are as good as it says, you'll know. And if it's bad, trust me, I'll come back on this set and tell the whole world that you're bad. But now, you've been able to create, a business out of this. How's it been like? In terms of your ability to convince people, that in spite of the fact that you are a provider in Nigeria, that you can match up with global standards. Has it been very easy? Do you have the government, the public sector coming to you? Because as I'm talking, they're watching, and we need to let them know that they have the only company to do what they want here with us in the studios.
Well, the thing is that I guess we've actually had a bad culture in Nigeria where we've had so many people setting bad examples. And so what happens is that people are naturally skeptical initially, even the government. The government doesn't want to relate with anybody until when they are sure of the person. And so at the beginning, we're just on our own. But because we're able to actually convince people, which was a very, very difficult process, and it's an expensive process because sometimes we actually have to spend more to offer even more quality. And by the time we do that, people get more convinced and they tell us, and as we start growing, it gave us more leverage to actually speak out. So, for instance, we are currently in discussions with NIDA because we actually have plans of running free training for web developers, and NIDA is really excited to work with us. And NIDA actually showed a lot of excitement to see that we actually came this far
on your own, yes.
And they are really, really excited to work with us in that. And I do sense that is going to happen going forward with even other government institutions. Because the point is that we've proven that we are the real deal. And then definitely they have no issue working with us.
Okay, you've proven that you're the real deal to NIDA and they have no problem working with you. When we come back in the next section or the next part, we'll be finding out from Toba what makes up a website and what's the price range like for startups, for companies. What about the security implication? How secure are the websites that they build? You have issues now that some dudes go out there and come in the name of a bank. The website looks like that of a bank, and they tell you to drop, your details, and because you believe that website is your bank's website, you do it, and then some guy walks away to the bank, and you're crying. These are the issues we'll take in the next part. It's on info.com. Don't go anywhere. Call everyone, because I would also ask from him this issue of training people for website development, whether you can be a beneficiary of that. Join us after this time out. Welcome back to the studios of Lagos Television. This is still info.com, and we have the CEO WhoGoHost.com, Toba. Toba, thank you for staying in the studios.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, I want to find out from you. We've had Yetunde Johnson, the CEO of Slingshot Technologies here. We had to take a look at the issues of hackers hacking to websites. What do you do? What do you do in your own case when you when you develop websites for companies? How secure are your websites?
Okay, thank you very much. The truth of the matter is that one of the challenges that hosting companies have worldwide is that when a client's website, somebody got hosting and domain from a provider, and the sites get hacked, the person is always initially concerned that the server was hacked. But what happens in most cases is the fact that when a person builds a website, the person doesn't take necessary precautions to secure the website, and that site is compromised on its own.
So hold on. Is it the person that should take precautionary measures, or the company that developed the website? As in, you develop a website for me, for example, and I'm a novice. Mine is I want a website. But do you tell me that, okay, these are the things to do to make sure that your website is secured at all times?
Okay, I'll say that there are three levels. You have the hosting provider who is providing the hosting service. The hosting provider may or may not be the same person that develops the website. So let's assume it's a different person.
Okay.
So you have the hosting provider. Now, Most hosting providers, or at least most serious hosting providers, would have done a lot of work to harden the server from acts at a server level. So in most cases, you have firewalls, you have so many things, just like WhoGoHost has, to protect the server on the server level. Now you have the web developer who designed the websites. Now the web developer also has to do necessary things to ensure that the application that is building is also secure at the application level. And then you have the end user who the website was built for. He would also have to do some basic things. Of course, the web designer will have to educate him or her on some things. I'll give you an illustration. When you create a user, and you create a user and use password 123 because it's easy to remember. And you know, those are kind of the issues that happen a lot of times. A bank would tell you that, for instance, when you want to set your ATM card PIN, ensure that you don't use your date of birth, don't use 123 for similar things like that. But people prefer to do that because
it's easier for them to remember.
Exactly.
And that's the easiest way for a hacker to hack you.
Trust me, most of the times, that we call it brute force attack. What some hackers do is that they will go to your website, to the login page, and then they will run several attempts. I'll tell you this. One, when setting a password, don't use any word in any dictionary, even Yoruba dictionary.
Let's repeat that again. When you are setting up a password,
yes,
don't use any
word in any dictionary.
Word in any dictionary.
Yes, that's the first one. Because that's the first thing that hackers do. And what they do is that they run very, very intelligent scripts that run, in a matter of seconds, a lot of possible combinations.
Are you a hacker?
No, I'm not.
Even if you are, you tell me. But you could be an ethical hacker.
But I'm not one. I'm not one.
Okay.
But of course, because of the kind of work we do, we actually know some of these tricks. Okay, that's the first one. The second one, ensure that the password includes alphanumerical characters. That means both alphabets, numbers,
and things like
special
percentage.
characters, exactly. And then at least one capital letter.
At least one capital letter.
Yes.
Something like percent. Something like 1.
Something like, numbers, characters, that's alphabets, special characters like hash, percentage, and so on, and at least one capital letter. Now, by the time you do those kind of combinations, that's when you get a stronger password. Now, that's from the user point of view. So I'm just trying to tell you that even the user has some
stuff to do.
Now, from the web developer, now what happens is this. Because of tools like WordPress and the likes that exist now, I mean, you can, if you know what to do, you can set up a website in a matter of minutes, if it's a very simple website, or sometimes you may do some work. Now, these tools are available and they are free. And so you see people build their blogs, build their websites using these tools without realizing that while your website is ready and is online, there are some additional work you need to do to secure it. So, for instance, I'll give a very, very simple situation. WordPress will advise you, don't use admin as your username of your administrator.
Don't use admin as your username administrator.
Yes.
Because that's the easiest thing to remember.
Because what will happen is that hackers will just fill the username admin and then password will just start guessing. So you make it easier for them. So you start with a password, a username that is actually more random. You understand? Something that someone can guess. For those who are technical to understand, when you're creating database, usually WordPress has by default WP underscore. Don't use that default. Use something
WP underscore.
I don't want to go into that, but I'm sure those who know.
No, it's good because you know why we're doing this. We've tried as much as possible to educate our viewers on how to secure their websites. You know, I think from the user's point of view, and that's why we're stressing all of this. So go ahead.
Yeah. So I just gave some scenarios, and I'm telling you, for instance, if you go to WordPress site, they will tell you that there are some additional things you do, and there are some plugins that can actually assist you in doing some of these things. So now, from the person who developed the application, I use WordPress as an illustration, the person may or may not have done this. And from the user point of view also, when a website is built for you using a tool like WordPress, you need to keep updating it, because there are usually security updates or some other maintenance updates that keep coming up. But your website is running, you are happy, without realizing that you need to do additional work. And these things, unfortunately, are from the end user's point of view. So what we try to do is that from time to time, we try to educate our users, keep taking, the truth of the matter, these things are sometimes stressful, because think about it. What you want is that you just want to have
a website,
and you don't want to.
And you want it to just tell the whole world about your business.
Yeah, but think about it. When you have an office, I mean, from time to time you need to maintain it, you need to repaint it, and do some necessary changes to ensure that it's looking good. Same thing for websites. You cannot just have a website and just leave it there and just go.
So we can simply conclude that having a website is not the end of the matter.
No, it's not. I'll say this safely. I'll say that because it's getting easier to build websites, people just go ahead and do it. But I'll say that people still need a lot of education. And I think the reason why people also fall victims for scams is because they are also not as educated. I'll give an illustration. You mentioned the possibility of somebody creating we call it phishing site,
Yes.
which is basically pretending to be a bank. I won't mention any brands, but I believe every single bank has an SSL certificate, and some banks even go ahead to have what we call an EVSSL. So, for instance, if you go to a particular bank's online banking, beyond the fact that it says HTTPS, which means that the connection is secure, you will see the name of the bank as a green bar on your browser.
As a green bar on your browser. Okay.
So what that means is that at least when you're there, you are sure
that this is
that
the bank.
this is the bank. So, but people don't take note of that. So, I mean, I'll tell you how funny it could be. You go to a URL. The URL has nothing to do with the bank, and they say register for BVN here, and you just enter the details because you got a mail. So people need to be very, very conscious. You know, it's just the same way you'll be security conscious when you are around in the physical world and you see somebody that is looking suspicious, and the person just wants to meet you. You know, there's some things you would
need to do. Yes,
exactly.
So we should carry that same feature or attribute into the
definitely. So I think we need a lot of more education, and this situation also happens worldwide because the internet has become more available to everybody. So you have situations where people sometimes don't realize that they need to be very careful. Okay. But sometimes people get really savvy. There was a particular situation that, in fact, I mean, even as you could actually fall victim. You got a mail that, change your Twitter password, and the URL was TVVITTER. Now the two V's now look like W. You understand? So you could get people.
These guys are criminals.
Exactly. So, but that's why Twitter now. I'm sure if you go to Twitter, you know that they now use SSL.
Yes.
Almost everybody uses SSL. Now, even WhoGoHost. In fact, we're gonna use an event. So when you go to WhoGoHost website, you even see the name of WhoGoHost.
What's the website?
That's WhoGoHost.com.
WhoGoHost.com.
Yes. Please.
Okay, I'm going to end this way because I believe that 34% is not enough. You know why? Because we are doing what people are paying hundreds of dollars for. That is not necessary. So this is to tell everyone watching, all companies, all CEOs watching, the public sector, just go to WhoGoHost.com. Click on the website. What do they do from there?
Okay, well, depending on the size. Interesting, we have a lot of security solutions also that are going to also help people, secure their website. So once they go to our website, you see the rich number of services that we offer, and then
they just click on one.
Just click on one.
And somebody calls them immediately after some other time and say, "You called us."
Well, not immediately, but of course, somebody will definitely.
They will call them.
They can contact them online chat, phone calls. All the details are right there.
Your Twitter handle?
Our Twitter handle at WhoGoHost.
At WhoGoHost.
Yes.
Facebook
WhoGoHost.
WhoGoHost.
Yes.
And the question now is, who go pay? All right, Toba, this is very, very interesting. This has been very, very interesting.
Thank you very much.
We hope that you'll be back in no time. I did tell you that.
Yes.
I find it. It's our job on info.com to help Nigerian companies, especially young guys like you, who have decided not to go into cybercrime, to start something, and it's evolving into a corporate concern, and we're really proud of that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So on behalf of the crew, thank you so very much for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that he's been able to give you a lot of hints on the part you need to play to make sure that your websites are secured. Okay, on the same time next week, on info.com, my name is Biyi, asking you to go to WhoGoHost and check them out. And when you do, come back and give the testimony. Good night.